Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about the conclusion of an absolute train wreck of a Love Island season, brought to us by Sarah V. Because whenever do have a blemish, which is so rare, I just use those products.
Claire, they should be paying us the big bucks for this kind of endorsement.
An endorsement that's mostly about how wonderful my skin is.
Look, a man may force you to walk through the water in your stilettos, but Sarah V will never let you down.
That's the true love of my life. And personally, I don't know about you. I really need some R&R after this season of Love Island.
And by some R&R, I assume you mean some Rolls Royce, Claire? Like we're going to get in a Rolls Royce right now
I could
after recording
definitely
this pod.
I could definitely use a Rolls Royce. Who couldn't? This week we are diving into episodes 33 to 36 of Love Island USA, which
Finale.
happens to be the finale, the final batch of episodes. Blessedly, not quite as many episodes as usual, and we finally get some answers about who America really ships the most, which I think is what we're all here to see. But first, a little housekeeping. We recently did an episode over on Rich Text, our Substack, about the Ultimatum Queer Love and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunions, which had been like burning a hole in our pocket. So we finally got our thoughts out about those. And you can find that episode at claireandemma.substack.com. And we will also have another episode coming soon about The Materialist, the Celine Song movie, which
We
we
saw it.
finally
Finally.
saw. We had a movie day. We're so excited to get into it, and that will be also coming on claireandemma.substack.com.
So let's get into the final stretch of Love Island USA season 7 episodes. I am ready to be released from the death grip that this season has on me. I keep like watching random episodes of season 6 as a little palate cleanser.
Yeah, I feel like we are Chris in the last 2 days of Love Island being like, "We done yet? Can we go? Would anyone like to excuse us from this? No? Okay, straight through to the finale, I guess."
And yet somehow I was still fully locked in on the season. Like I was complaining so much and then Adam would be like, "This show is terrible." And I'd be like, "How dare you?"
Well, you get to say it, right? It's your show.
Yeah, it's my little show.
It's
Like,
like your
don't
little
insult
sibling.
my child, you know? Only I can criticize my child.
So let's go all the way back to episode 33 before we knew how America had voted. There had just been an America Ranks the couples vote, and this is when
Clark and Taylor have
Clark and
just
Taylor
exited. So
went home.
Nick and Ace are mourning their third.
Yeah. It's the Musketeers are dropping like flies. The Stooges are not long for this world. But Nicolandria and Chase are feeling heartened. I think that we learned this episode that they consider their couple name to be Chalace, but I like Chase because it's what they named their baby after themselves. And they're like, "Thank you, America. America does love us. America does see what we have. And we've been restored to the warm bosom of our nation's
For now.
embrace for now." They don't know how America ranked them, which is misleading. They are announced safe in no particular order, and so it seems like Nicolandria is about to go home, but I would guess that they were actually quite high in the rankings and that Chase escaped by the skin of their teeth, as we see the next
100%.
results.
It also made me wonder because usually I don't think we would have these like two back-to-back votes.
Mm.
And I wonder if production was trying to give the voting public like one more chance to save Shelley and Ace.
Honestly, I personally have regrets. We'll get into my
Same.
regrets about my vote for who would be in the final. But at this point, they're feeling good. Nick is like, America has seen what Alandria and I have gone through, and they want this for us. And Shelley tells Ace that, like, not being cut is validation that America sees what she sees in her couple. And so they're feeling like the wind is at their backs. Meanwhile, Chris and Huda have a follow-up conversation to the fight that they had right before this elimination.
And see, I really thought like, oh, they're going to smooth it over because this doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. No, no, they will never smooth it over.
Huda is not notorious for being able to smooth things over. And it seems like what initially looked like in Chris an ability to kind of calmly redirect her is actually him getting extremely irritated, but keeping it buried very deep under the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. I clearly misread the situation.
I think a lot of us did. But Ace wants to help. So he, from his position as elder statesman of Love Island, sits down with Chris and urges him to try to find a middle ground and give it everything he's got.
I was like, wow, Ace, you like finally want other couples to succeed?
It's time.
It's
Like, there's no
time.
point in winning if there's no other couples. And I have to say, everyone else in the villa seems to be working harder to keep this relationship together than Chris during this final
I would
week.
agree. Amaya and Brian are really putting in the work.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, Nick and Ace have to mourn Taylor. And so they have like a seance with the ghost of Taylor. They all sit together on beanbags, and there's an empty beanbag for Taylor. And then Ace gets up and puts a towel on his head and pretends to be Taylor and is like, I want to be exclusive with Clark. And Nick is like, you already are exclusive with Clark. Can you please just be Ace right now? Like, he's so annoyed, but he's trying not to be.
Ace is like reminding me of my friend's like 3-year-old who desperately wants long hair. So she just like walks around with a towel on her head.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
I still do it sometimes.
And now Ace has been there too.
He wants
That's
princess
beautiful.
hair.
So we move on to the challenge of this episode, Viva Las Villa. And this is just one of those like pure goofy challenges.
Yeah, most of the challenges lately have been like this. There's no real purpose. Nothing in particular is being tested, but they all have to get very dirty and rub around on their couples and make out with them. Right? And then at the end, it's like, yay, we did the challenge.
That's how we know we're almost at the end.
So they have some sort of like Vegas themed obstacle course, and they have to put on like a sexy show for the rest of the couples and all the bubbles and slime. And afterwards, everyone's feeling great. Even Huda and Chris put on a good show. I mean, we know Huda can twerk like nobody's business.
Yeah,
So
no, unparalleled.
they have a good time. And after the challenge, two of our new couples, Papyrus and Nicolandria, or as they dubbed themselves during this challenge, Freako Nico, because you can't have Freako Nico without the Nick and the O, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're feeling just very into each other, these new couples. Iris says that she has never before had the feeling of wanting to kiss a guy in the middle of having a conversation with him. Can that be right? Did I mishear that?
I
So
honestly
startled.
missed that altogether.
I was so startled. I was like, you haven't, Iris.
Lord, Iris and Pepe are so sweet. They seem
Yeah.
so lovely. And I just was like, I wish Taylor and Clark were here instead.
I know. It's so boring, and it also doesn't feel that genuine because it's so new and so convenient. And they're having these incredibly tepid conversations about how he knows so many little things. And he's like, but I don't know any one big thing. And she's like, but you do know a lot of little things. And then cut to her
Oh
being
my
like, I wish I
God.
could kiss him right now. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably bored out of your mind. You want to do something.
You know lots of little things. No, it's like a parody of a conversation.
Everyone also just seems so sleepy during a lot of these conversations. I feel like that's partly why Amaya has struck such a chord, is because it's not that Iris and Pepe seem like bad people, but they always seem so flat and like they're falling
Yes.
asleep during these conversations.
And I get
need
it.
some
Look,
energy.
I get it. I too would want to nap all the time if I was on Love Island.
No, this literally could be footage of me, but there's a reason I'm not on reality television. Meanwhile, Nick and Alandria are starting to explore their physical connection more outside of challenges. They're kissing in the photo booth. I remember that being a big milestone also for her and Taylor.
Oh,
They're
yes.
they're telling their friends that it feels like more than friendship. Nick's feeling butterflies. So many romantic music cues are playing with all of these couples at this point to like tell me that they are in love.
Oh, yeah. These editors and are working overtime. Whoever does like the sound production on this season is like, okay, romantic cue, romantic
Yeah.
cue. Oh, they're really in love. Oh, this is a big romantic moment. No, they're into each other. Don't even doubt it. They're definitely into each other, except Chris and Huda.
Yeah, no, they are getting the doomed couple music
Yeah.
cues. Meanwhile, Amaya confides in Brian that she feels like a lizard because she gets cold extremities, and we learn that he does not know that reptiles are cold-blooded, and in fact, he mocks her for making this up.
How dare you, Brian?
Brian, come on.
Clearly, you haven't watched enough Magic School Bus in your youth.
Watch Little Magic School Bus, and then you can mock Amaya Papaya for her lack of scientific knowledge. Then Amaya and Brian have their big moment to bring Chris and Huda back together because, of course, Chris and Brian are tight from Casa. Huda and Amaya are buddies. They really want their friends to heal the breach.
They're
And
trying so hard.
they are. Amaya's like, in every relationship, there are hiccups. It's time to burp that shit out.
I really thought this was going to work. They do like little deceptions where they both tell their friend, like, go meet me at the dock. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I actually have to go number 2, so don't wait for me.
And then they like trap Chris and Huda on the dock together. And I was like, oh, this is cute. They're like giggling. Maybe they'll have a good conversation. And they just don't.
Don't.
And at this point, look, I do not think Huda is an easy partner. I have been very critical, and I stand by all of that criticism of many of her behaviors throughout the season. But at this point, it just started to feel like Chris is not even trying to bridge this gap. So, like, what
Yeah.
is happening?
I mean, it's so frustrating to watch. I will be honest, I didn't think this was going to work because their whole plan was to get Huda and Chris to talk. That's it. And I'm like, talk about what? Meanwhile, when they interrupt them to pull them away for this plan, they're sitting in a group and Huda is in the midst of getting annoyed at Chris for touching her with his dirty hand. I guess he had
Oh,
some
I
food on
forgot
his
about
hand or
that.
something. She's like, I hate that. And you know it. Like, I can't believe dickhead. And I was like, Huda, why are you doing so much about this little thing right now? Chris is now going into this conversation feeling like you are
Attacking
nitpicking
him.
him,
No,
attacking him.
and that is where I do very much fault Huda, is that she like cannot stop herself from needling her partner about every little thing. And like, as a person who has in the past been on the receiving end of little like needling like that, it has a compounding effect, and it will
Yeah.
start to make you pissed off about things you shouldn't be pissed off about.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, like, embarrassed even saying this, but, like, I feel like the couple that I'm closest to in many ways in this villa is Huda and Chris. Like, they're, like, an exaggerated caricature of my relationship dynamic. I think a lot of people end up in this sort of, like, the woman is more emotionally, anxiously attached, and the man is more, like, avoidant and shuts down, and
Yes.
it still didn't, like I would say that this took years to manifest as a significant issue in my relationship. So the fact that it's already at this level so early on is what I mean by it being a caricature.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand what she's feeling. She's like, that's just how she is. It comes out. If she doesn't say it, it feels like she's constantly suppressing herself. She's walking on eggshells. But then it creates the feeling in your partner that they are walking on eggshells because otherwise they're constantly being needled. And Chris is dealing with this by suppressing it deep down, not reacting, but in a way that obviously feels like he is pulling away from Huda and he's being cold to her because what he wants to say to her is like, shut the fuck up and stop.
Right.
So they end up having this conversation where he's like, I don't want to talk about our conflict anymore, which is like she doesn't want to kiss him in public. He's like, I'll never understand you, but I know it's not going to change, so let's just move forward. Which uh
Uh,
Eek, that
Oh,
seems
I
like
was
a
like,
bad
"Oh, if you're never going to understand her, maybe you can't move forward,"
right,
is
you
the
can't
thing.
just put the issue to bed if you haven't reached a place of mutual understanding.
Right. And at a certain point, I'm like, he's not interested,
Yeah.
really. He doesn't wanna
Yeah,
put the energy in, which, like, again, is allowed,
right.
but they're in a space where, like, they are supposed to put that energy
Yeah.
in.
And to her credit, Huda is trying to elicit his feelings about
She
this.
is, she is.
And he's just saying, I'm very understanding and receptive. But he literally has said he doesn't understand and he is not receptive to talking more about it. And he's not trying to make her understand his point of view, which I think he really should, because maybe it would be make them feel more aligned if she could say, well, I don't agree with how you feel, just like you
But
don't
I
agree with
get
me,
it.
but I see where you're coming from. Maybe that could be a path, but he's not interested.
No, it's just an absolute disaster. So this does not end on a great note, but we do get another Hideaway text. And they all immediately agree that Shelly and Ace need time in the Hideaway.
It's like the wisdom of the crowd when they get one of these texts. They're like, decide on who to go. And one person is like, Shelly and Ace. And then they all go, Shelly and Ace, Shelly and
They're all
Ace.
very supportive of each other's Hideaway time, I will say. Like no one ever seems like bitter that they didn't get the Hideaway.
Well, because the wisdom of the crowd, like the mob did
Exactly.
not coalesce around me, therefore it wasn't meant to be. So Shelly dons black lingerie. He puts on what men wear to the Hideaway, which is like it looks like they're going to take a shower, I guess, like briefs
In
and
their
shower
dorm.
slides. But he's also wearing a hat to make it formal, I guess.
I saw someone point out that Ace wears hats, like baseball caps that are way too large for his head.
I think that's a style choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But someone pointed it out, and I think it was on Hunter Harris's podcast, one of her guests. He was like, this guy, like they would go over his ears. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
I'd never really clocked that. And now it's all I'm seeing.
Well, so Greg is a big hat guy, and so I think way too much about baseball hats. But a while back, there was a big trend where this baseball player, I think, or football player wore a huge novelty hat. It was almost like a hat inside the hat for your head, and then the hat was enormous. And then he started selling them. And I was just like, I don't understand who would ever want to be seen with this. And Greg was like, it was a big thing. Like,
Okay. Well,
people
yeah,
wanted
I
it.
think I don't understand young men's fashion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, their fashion is what? Oversized hats and shower slides with socks?
Right. That's
I
it.
I don't wanna understand. They do get a rousing "Eat that kitty in the hideaway" chant as they head off. That has permanently entered the pop culture canon.
I
We'll
mean,
never be
I
without it.
can't. It's just always playing in the back of my head. At the
Yeah.
drop of a hat, one person could say it. I won't get it out of my head
You're
for like
sending your
48
friend off for
hours.
her honeymoon, and you're like, "Eat that kitty, eat that kitty," and her
Eat the
grandma
kitty in the
is looking at you,
hideaway.
"Excuse me."
You're like, you
It
don't get it, ma'am.
It's culture. In the hideaway, Ace just leaves Shelly alone in the suite for a while to go out onto the little, like, fake beach that they have in the suite and draw a heart with an A and a C inside it in the sand. And after he brings Shelly out to see his artwork, he has something to read her. Some more art. It's
He
actually
does.
a poem that he wrote
An Ace original, if you will.
about his favorite topic, Ace. I actually do have to read this in full.
It's necessary.
Since the day I met you in NYC, I always thought, how did my Cinderella leave without a trace? Walking into this experience, I was looking for a lover, but that's not what happened in this case. I ended up finding a best friend, a partner in crime, and a person who brings out the best in Ace. But who is Ace?
Wow.
Ace is a person who has been hurt by love and put his heart on restraint. Since day one, I have loved your willingness to pay attention to detail and love me for who I am, regardless of the bickering, arguing, and complaints. Imagining your artistry was
Stretch.
imagining your artistry with someone else in his villa and the outside real world, that's just simply a picture I can't paint. So I'm just standing or sitting, because they're sitting here in this hideaway, asking you, will you be exclusive to only each other, Shelley Evelyn Besant? It took me the
I don't
second
even
listen to realize this was supposed to be a poem, first of all.
Yeah, same. I was like,
Crimes
he's calling
against
it a poem.
ugh,
I don't hear anything resembling a poem. But yes, I do see that there are attempts at some parallel structure and
there's a rhyme.
rhyming.
Yeah, the main crimes are against scansion and meter, which seem to have been completely disregarded. At one point, he uses bickering and arguing, even though they mean the same thing, and it
Same
makes
thing.
that line way too long.
Yeah. Yeah, just get to complaints.
Yeah,
Also, take the S off.
the S off of what?
Oh, yeah, no, I guess you need complaints, plural. I don't. It just bothers me when you try to rhyme restraint with complaints.
It's a slant rhyme, you know?
Yeah.
It's all listen, speaking of rhymes, the whole first half is done to rhyme with his name,
Oh,
and the
I'm
second
aware.
half starts with being like, "Let's talk about who Ace is as a person." I was like, "Is any of this about going to be about
Well,
Shelley?"
yes, because it's all meant to rhyme with the saint.
The second half is meant to rhyme
Yeah.
with her name, so we do bring that back around. But this was a lot for me to take in.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
But Shelley is very touched. I mean, he wrote a very long poem about her. The lines of the poem were very long, and
And
she
she's
says
very into
yes.
him. She's
She
very
is.
into him. And they are genuinely into each other, which is why on this season of Love Island, they must go.
Yeah, just as soon as they've really started to figure their shit out and Ace has actually written her a love poem, time to go.
Get those people the fuck out of the villa. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we will get into the aftermath of the Hideaway and all of the families.
And we're back. It's episode 34 now, and in the Hideaway, Shelley and Ace are Lady and the Tramping a chocolate truffle. Back at the villa, everyone is squealing about how they're probably having intercourse right now. And the next morning, they get a text. It's family day.
I love Family Day.
It was so I mean, I wasn't expecting much because I think hometowns is, like, the most underwhelming day usually for me of The Bachelor, and so I, like, wasn't prepared for how emotional this would make me.
So emotional. I loved it so much. And also, they usually do this like over calls, or at least the
Mm,
seasons I've seen. So seeing all of the families in the flesh was so
yeah.
cool.
And I also think something about the fact that the cast is on average younger than The Bachelor cast made it hit a little
Yeah.
different for me. Like, when I see a 24-year-old man in his mommy's little meatball tee crying because he misses his mommy, I'm like, "Aw," instead of being a little bit weirded out.
Like alarmed.
Yeah, I'm like, "Of course you miss your mommy, you probably live with her still." Amaya is bouncing around, shrieking, of course, that's what she does every day, but, like, even more so. And just as, Chase returns, uh, they already know about Family Day. Brian sees the last, like, speck of Shelley disappear up the stairs and immediately is like, "So what did you guys do? Like, detail the acts, please."
We love a man who loves gossip.
But Ace says he didn't fold. Did all these men take celibacy pledges or
I don't
something?
know. I was like, what is this language?
It reminds me of the way that, like, men who got into sort of, like, Proud Boy adjacent, um, lifestyle content might talk about, like, masturbation. Or just like,
Yes.
I'm still the master of my domain, you know, I didn't fold. It's like, it's sex with a beautiful woman. Like, I don't think
Right.
that there's anything
Are we
emasculating
like,
about that.
bro, is it gay to have sex with a woman?
Yeah, you should be stronger than that. But Nick is like, "Hands anywhere?" And he's like, "Hands everywhere." And then they laugh and laugh and laugh. And so everyone gets ready for Family Day, of course. The boys consider putting on shirts, but they mostly don't. The girls put on their usual thong bikinis and heels. Of course, this is also how I dress to hang out with my parents.
I'm going to say that zero wardrobe adjustments were made for the families.
There were a few like references to the wardrobe being adjusted for the family, but no. And it was just funny to me when the families arrive and they're all fully clothed.
Because obviously,
They don't wanna wear a thong bikini to visit their daughter on on Love Island.
Imagine if like your son went on Love Island and you showed up and they were like, Claire, here's your thong bikini and lace up heels. Time to get in the uniform.
It
Go
makes
hug
it
your son. And you're like, this is not MILF manner.
There's something about it that feels a little dystopian to me, like, they're not allowed to put on more clothes. Like, their families are coming, they're about to meet their boyfriends' families for the first time. Sorry, you still have to wear a thong because America needs to see your ass at all times. Maybe it's just what they want, but that is, like, how it felt to
I
me
mean, Amaya
watching.
was allowed to wear a caftan the other night.
That's
So
true.
clearly choices
She
are being made.
I guess she already wore her caftan. She had nothing, it was in the laundry. Like, what is she supposed to do? Suddenly, we hear a voice calling for Amaya from the sky. It's her family and Brian's family on FaceTime on a giant screen. And they're so excited, but then the connection fritzes out. But then the families actually walk in and sneak up on Amaya and Brian and surprise them. And I did start crying at
It
this.
was so sweet. Nick even starts crying at the sight of other people's families. And he says that it's like those military videos on TikTok where they come home to their kids. And I was like, yes,
So true.
it is, Nick. You're so right.
It's
It does
just
give me that same feeling.
it's abundantly clear that Nick spends a ton of time on TikTok.
All of these people are so TikTok pilled.
Yeah. It's one
They
of the main
live,
things
breathe, and speak in TikTok.
It's one of the main things he talks about also when he talks about something other than his connections with one of them. He's like, "There's this thing I used to watch a lot of videos of on TikTok."
He's either on TikTok or asking Chat GPT for like life advice. It's dark out
Yeah.
there.
Amaya's mom tells her that she's making her proud. Brian's dad and brother are there, and they relay the two families that her dad and his mom are also very proud. Don't worry, everyone's very proud. No one is going to hear that their families are disappointed in them
I mean, imagine, like, you're not going to say that to your child on national
on TV.
television.
Nick's mom actually comes the closest. And so they have a wonderful meeting. It's clear that her families have so much in common, and they all love the way that Brian stood up for her and defended Latino culture, and they just really see a lot of affinities.
It's very sweet. And we also get a video of Brian's mom because she isn't there.
Yeah.
And he's like weeping. He loves his mom so much.
Yeah. Pepe's parents and Iris's mom and sister arrive next, looking like they all dressed for a family beach photo shoot together, like as one group. Are they given instructions to coordinate? A lot of these families look like they coordinated. I don't
I mean, they
know.
probably did tell them that. I'm sure they did give them like some sort of guidance, like no like labels.
Yeah. And it goes great. His parents love Iris. His mom was scoping her out from the beginning. Her mom and sister think Pepe is a man who will take care of her.
Their families are so beautiful.
Very, yeah.
I was like, every one of these people comes from a hot family.
I also got confused because I feel like Pepe's mom actually reminds me of Iris a lot. And then I realized that they were not related. Like, she has a similar, like, jaw and mouth where I was like, oh, that's where Iris gets it from. And then she went to Pepe and was like, my son.
Yeah. But although Iris's mom and sister also look like very much like her.
Yeah. Her mom cries. She thinks Iris has become more of a woman and more mature. And then we meet Shelley's parents and Ace's brother and sister. And they're all just very supportive of the Shalace ship.
It's sweet.
Love them together. They're very impressed with how respectful they were of each other when they disagreed, which is true. And her mom asked how Ace stays so calm, and he says, dealing with sisters.
I love that.
I mean,
Is Ace the
sisters are not.
youngest?
I
Is
think
Ace the youngest of like a bunch of siblings?
he definitely is one of a bunch of siblings.
Because
And
his
siblings are
who were
significantly
there
older.
seemed significantly older than him. And I was like, oh, maybe that is where a lot of like his sort of projected confidence and also his like feeling of maturity. I wonder if it just comes from hanging out a lot with people who are significantly older than him.
Yeah, he's got the younger sibling
Yeah. I
kind
was like,
of
"Oh, this is,
confidence.
like, starting to track for me."
Yeah. And he confides in his siblings that it messed with his head to be ranked the least genuine, and Shelley has been there for him. And they play him a message from his mom, which also helped me understand Ace a lot better, just the little bit that we heard. His mom says that he has been equipped with the necessary tools and has been raised to find his queen.
You're like, "Yes, this is how Ace speaks."
Yeah, no, I see now. He's been, like, optimized and built to just, like, conquer and thrive. She praises him for shining through the storms he encounters and standing on business, which is, like, his motto at this point in the season. Shelley has letters from her siblings. A very positive family
Oh,
meeting.
very, yes, so sweet. Meanwhile, Chris has been stressing. Everyone else is just full of joy, and Chris is like full of dread because he thinks maybe his mom and sister are going to hate Huda, and also he just doesn't want to introduce Huda to his family.
Yeah, he's very anxious about how his mom and sister are tough critics in a way where you can tell that he thinks that they will and should dislike Huda and they will judge her very harshly because he is judging her harshly. And so he's like worried, but not in a way where it feels like he wants to protect Huda, but more like he just doesn't want to deal with the inevitable fallout of them accurately judging her.
It made me feel bummed. Also, it
Oh.
doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. I mean, and we don't really know why. I know that a lot of people have been speculating that, and this makes a lot of sense, that the families, even if they have reservations, don't want to say that on camera because it makes their kid maybe look worse. It might fuel harassment. It might also lessen their chances at winning the prize at the end. So they might
I
all just
mean,
come in determined to be positive.
I would.
There's plenty of time to be negative in like 3 days when the show
Well,
is over.
exactly. Like, also, why would you go on national television and like stir up shit for like your kid and someone else's kid? Like, it just, why would
Right.
you do
They're
that?
not getting engaged at the end of this. They're literally just going to walk away with potentially a bunch of money, and then you can say, "How are things going, really?"
Right.
So, Huda's older sisters and Chris's mom and sister walk in, again looking somewhat coordinated,
They're
and
also so cute. I loved their two families a lot.
yeah, and they seem happy. Her sisters are a little on the honest side, I think, compared to some of the other families. They're like, "We love how he's helping you grow." And they also tell her, like, when they have time separately, "Chris is so great. You need someone who can ground you. And when you're shutting up, that's the best thing." And like, he's helping you learn to do that.
I thought that was nice. Like, you could see the affectionate and also honest relationship that Huda has with her sisters. Like, there
Yeah.
were elements of like them being like, Huda, you need to learn. You need to learn to improve in these ways, but in like coming from like such a place of love.
Yeah. And I thought it was so accurate what her sister said about when she asked about Jeremiah. She was like, "What were your thoughts on that?" And her sister says, "Well, you just went head over heels too fast and you didn't think about getting to know him as a person. And like,
Hmm.
it just wasn't, he wasn't the person that you should have been
And Huda
with."
agrees. She's like, that relationship really brought out my toxic side. And I'm trying to do things differently now. But possibly my favorite moment of the whole episode is when Huda's sister tells her that the mommy mamacita exchange has like become a meme. And you can tell that Huda like barely remembers that conversation.
Right. Why would you remember? That was like weeks ago. So
Yeah.
much has happened.
She's like, oh, what?
Yeah, that. And then they're like, also, why did you keep saying mommy like that? Why don't you just say, like, I'm a mom? Her sisters are truly like all of
Oh my,
us.
also, I could stare at her sister Netta's face like forever. She's
It's a
so stunning.
beautiful family. And they have a video message from her daughter who is so sweet. And she tells Huda how she finished her first year of school and she must be in pre K and tells her about everything she's been doing and how much she misses her. And Huda is very emotional. And it is really crazy that she doesn't really get to see or hear from her daughter the whole time. I feel like usually on The Bachelor that if you have a kid, they let you have a little bit
Yeah,
more
I was gonna
access.
say that that on Paradise and stuff, they will, and yeah, on The Bachelor proper, they will let you do like a FaceTime with your kid.
Yeah, that's crazy. But what if her daughter told her about the Mamacita meme before it was time for her to know, you
It would
know?
be a disaster.
And meanwhile, Chris is having a much smoother conversation with his mom and sister than he
They're
expected.
just like so positive.
They're like, "We're so proud of how you're handling yourself. 10 out of 10, 0 notes. Keep doing what you're doing." And he says, "What was the last thing you saw?" And his sister says that you folded. So they know they boned, but they don't necessarily know about some of the stuff that has happened since the relationship has kind of soured.
Yeah, I don't think that they had seen the fight.
Yeah. I was I it's hard to take that out of it. I was kinda wondering why they weren't picking up more on the fact that he's clearly like, "Are you sure you don't see any flaws? Like, we've had some issues, like, I'm trying to be accepting, but it's really hard." And I was like, "Are they not picking up on the fact that he's like, 'Please, please tell me
Tell me to
that
break up with
tell
her.
me to break up with her because I don't like this anymore.'" But for whatever reasons, they're like, "No, we really like Huda. She's great. As women, we can understand what she's gone through. We see her growth, and so we really support her." And he's like, "Okay, me too, totally."
He's like, I am so grateful to Love Island to have this beautiful woman by my side. I was like, Chris, you know you could just end the relationship.
Yeah. No, he's like, "Well, my mom and sister are very like critical and they have high standards and they like Huda. So maybe this is gonna work out. Thank you, Love Island. How amazing." Next, we meet Nick and Alandria's families. His
Uh,
sister and mom and Alandria's mom are there to rep.
Nicolandria Nation has been waiting for this.
And they finally learned that the fan name for their coupling is Nicolandria and not Nalandria.
I love this. Was this Alandria's mom who was like, you guys say Nilandria? No.
Yeah, let me
Let me
propose
inform
something to
you.
you. Nicolandria, okay? And their families are clear apparently Nicolandria truthers. They're like, "We were all waiting
Oh
for
no,
you to
they
see it.
are.
We were
I had
so
seen this.
frustrated."
I had seen this for weeks. People reposting videos from like Nick's family. Like
Even
they were
before.
truly, yes, they were true like Nicolandria stans. His mom was like an Alandria fan, like from day one.
And yeah, I know they're really on board with it now, but it seems like maybe it would be a little weird to be pushing that if your son is like in a full relationship with someone else.
They they were. I
She
don't
has his
know.
she has her opinions. Alandria's mom tells her that her dad is very proud of her and how she's handling herself. And Alandria says, "What about my outfits? What about my bathing suits?" And her mom is like, "You're killing it." And Alandria says, "Body tea, face tea." And her mom is like, "Yes." They're besties. We love
It's
it.
very cute.
But Nick's mom and sister have some different thoughts about how he's presenting on camera. For example, "Why do you keep having sex on TV? Please stop. It's disgusting."
That seems like fair feedback.
Like, we're watching. Why would you be rustling the sheets in this way with the night vision cameras right there?
So funny.
They also relay that Nick's dad loves Ace and how he stands on business and is also very proud of how funny Nick is.
And Nick is like, yeah, I do get that from dad. And his mom is like mortally offended. She's like, excuse me, son.
She doesn't seem terribly funny in this moment, but listen, people have many layers. Alandria's mom really fills Alandria in on the lore of how
I
everyone has been shipping them for weeks.
I love it so much.
And she's like, "Do you see yourself really giving him a chance?" And Alandria's like, "Yeah, I like him. I really do. Like, he's so great. We have a wonderful foundation of friendship." And like, it's still not convincing to me at all.
I know. I'm so sorry. I really respect Nicolandria Nation and I like them together, but there's there's just a little something for me, especially on Alandria's side, that
This
just
is the
feels like a
thing.
little forced still.
Well, I feel like the Nicolandria thing was always, from my understanding, kind of built on the way that he looked at her and the little signs of interest he showed in her. And I'm just not seeing much coming back from her. And that is an important component as well for the whole relationship to blossom.
It
It
just
seems like,
feels to me like she's trying to talk herself into it. Like she really wants to be into it.
yeah, well, it's a great story.
Yeah, no, and it genuinely is. And I don't even
Yeah.
mean it in like she's being so calculated, just in like a everyone else sees it like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do love
Yeah,
Nick.
he is great. Like, why would I not be
Right,
into
he's
him?
great. He's cute.
We like making out.
We're friends. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
And afterward, they talk to each other and they're like, "Wow, our families really want us to be together." And Alandria says something like, "We've got things to plan. We've got too much support from my family too." And then she kind of trails off. And I was like, was she saying like we've got too much support from my family to like not pursue that? Like it again is a sort of thing to say that suggests that like the support, the external support is really what's motivating her here.
Yeah, I noticed more that she was like, yeah, I can't wait to be best friends with your sister. Like,
Yeah.
I'm coming to dinner. But again, it just gave me like besties vibes.
Yeah. And then they get a text. They're having a family dinner night, which, of course, they would not plan a beautiful family dinner for you guys if they weren't about to serve you a nice poison chalice or like stick a knife in your back. So don't get so excited. Ace is chefing it up. Mommy's little meatball reveals he hates cooking, which is at least an orange flag. And so does Brian, who says cooking is not his role.
Whose role is it, Brian?
I'm like, how original, a man whose self-perceived role is not to cook. Chris burns the garlic bread and Huda is like, you had one job. And he then says in his confessional that some people weren't even cooking. They were just sitting looking pretty. Huda. I was like, he
Oh,
hates her. Like it's
God, the
happened.
resentment is so palpable.
It's curdled. Like he's done. He
It's
can't admit it
so
to
bad.
himself. He hates her now.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. They sit down for dinner and Huda's like, why don't we go around and everyone says like their highs and lows like of the season? And Nick is like, no, let's say our peaks and our pits.
And she's like, "You're copying me." And I'm like, "No, he never said that it was a new idea. He's just rebranding it with
He's
the
like, we've got
weirder
to
name.
workshop the branding.
Peaks and pits. Everyone's going to be talking about it." And Amaya says that one of her pit moments was the way she spoke to Ace when they had their tough convo, and she's glad they're friends. And they share a hug, and she apologizes. They all are kind of sharing peaks that mostly are about meeting their partners or getting together with their partners.
But then they also like don't show half of them.
They also don't
So it's
show
like
half of
hard to
them.
say.
Well, I'm gonna say that I can say that what Chris does here is weird. I
Oh,
think I've seen enough for that.
I do agree with you there.
Huda says that her crash out was a big pit and a peak was recoupling after Casa with Chris. Chris goes next and says that his peaks were seeing his family and playing basketball with the guys. And then he specifies, and I don't have another one.
This was crazy. This was just mean.
Huda, like, takes that one, you can see it, like, ripple through her body, and she's like, "I am evolving, I am growing, I will not get up and start screaming at Chris right
Like
now."
that would make me crash out.
100%. I would absolutely crash out.
I would
That's
probably just
so
like start
hurtful.
crying. That's like so mean. Also, basketball with the guys.
He misses hooping so much, you have
I
no
know.
idea.
This is the thing.
He's like, "For that one moment, I was overseas playing ball." I mean, this is one of those moments where I was like, I understand why Chris is seething at Huda and he doesn't feel that it's a peak of his experience that he is with her. But also, I understand now why Huda is very hurt. And now we're in the cycle
Right.
where they're just hurting each other. And he's hurting her by like avoiding cuddling, avoiding saying the compliment, avoiding. And she's hurting him by picking, trying to
Oh, and I
provoke
feel
some
like
sort of.
I feel like I've been in both of their roles, like being
Mhm.
picked at and also being avoided, and like it both suck.
No, it's
So like
horrible.
I really understand why they are both struggling.
During dinner, they get another text, and they learn that based on America's votes, the couple with the fewest votes will be dumped from the island tonight. And they do this reveal by having the couples lift the dome off of a platter to read a card inside. So we got a pretty big spoiler up front here, which is if they have you pick up the dome first, obviously you're not going home.
Right. I
Like the reveal is just that your name is called before the last two couples. But
It would be wild if it was like the first couple. You're going home.
oh, okay. Now the rest of us don't even have to lift off our dome. So they go down the line, and fortunately, their vulnerable couples are sitting at the same end. And Amaya and Brian and Chris and Hood are at the other end. They get the first invitations to the finale. And Chris seems way more excited that he and Brian have made it from Casa to the finale than that Huda will be present in any capacity.
I know.
So we get back to the other end, and Iris and Pepe and Shelly and Ace are the last two
And I
to
was
lift
like,
their
come
domes.
on, send Iris and Pepe home. Again, I like them. They're lovely.
Totally.
I was like, their storyline isn't giving anything.
Yeah. Shelly and Ace get dumped, and now there will be 0 couples from before Casa in the finale. In fact, every couple left didn't really get together in any meaningful sense until like a couple days after Casa because Hood and
It's a
Chris were
disaster.
still kind of exploring whether he should be with Shelly after
Right.
Casa.
Huda and Chris are the longest
Longest.
running couple, and they are the biggest disaster. Like this season is anti Love Island.
It's a complete catastrophe. Like, I don't wanna overstate it, but this is where I started to have voters remorse. I
Okay.
was like, I just mindlessly voted for Amaya and Brian because I was feeling so put off by all the other couples. And then we got here and I was like, "No, Claire, you should have voted for the couple that you thought was most vulnerable, that you thought should
Right.
have a place in the finale." And though Shelly and Ace have annoyed me at many points, especially Ace, and that's
They
sorry to
deserved
Shelly.
to be in the finale.
Yes, I was like, "What was I doing?" They should have been in the finale.
100%. But this is why I think we need ranked choice voting. We need to rank our top 4,
Right.
not vote for one couple.
Who would have been your bottom of the ballot couple?
Pepe and Iris. Well,
And
if I
yeah,
was voting seeing Chris and Huda's like the aftermath of their fight, they would have been at the bottom. But given
right.
when we voted, I probably still would have put Pepe and Iris at the bottom just because I was thinking about it more like whose arcs need completion, like whose storylines are like interesting to me. And I was feeling like I want to see Ace and Shelly finish it out. I want to see how the Nicolandria friends to lovers thing plays out. Huda has had this crazy journey. I'm curious how it will end with her and Chris. You know, there were open questions for me with each couple, and they were each delivering a type of narrative arc that was
Yeah.
interesting. Whereas Pepe and Iris just weren't. If anything, they were giving like friends to lovers, but in a less interesting way than Nick and Alandria.
Yeah. No, it's just like a flat beige version of
Yeah,
Nicolandria. I completely agree. I I feel like I just needed a whole mindset shift before I voted that I didn't
same.
have. Like, I think I still would have ranked them too low because as soon as they got dumped, I was like, "No, this feels completely wrong," but I did nothing with
To
my
prevent
vote to
it.
prevent it. And obviously they were like, if Huda and Chris had gone home, I would have been fine with that. If
Same.
Pepe and Iris went home, I would have been pleased probably. And I didn't even worry about Shelly and Ace.
That's the thing. I
So,
just thought that they had enough fans that they would make it
yeah.
through. And because I actually think that almost similar to Clark and Taylor, I was like, they're no one's favorite, but they're not most people's least favorite.
Yeah, like, are they so hated? I don't know.
No, I don't even think at this point that they are hated, because I saw a lot of people being frustrated they were going
Yeah.
home. It was just like the season was just such an absolute disaster from a narrative perspective, and the votes kept
Mhm.
coming in a place where like our feelings would shift just after we voted.
Yeah.
And eh, yeah, it's just the whole season like didn't operate at the cadence that it should
Yeah.
have.
It's true. Like, I was still, by this vote, kind of trying to figure out if I felt like Shelley and Ace were being genuine or if they were just kind of scrambling to win America back over when I voted. And by the
Right.
time that they got kicked off, I was like, well, maybe that was a motivation, but I do think they're really into each other and they've spent the whole season exploring it and they should have been here for the finale.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And then they just closed off. And of course, it's
It's
time for
all,
them
but
to
I
go.
was
It's
like, honestly, it
ridiculous.
feels right. And at this point, I was like,
Yeah.
maybe what would, in a way, feel the most right for this season would be for like Huda and Chris to win and only one of them take the money. Like that would I think properly express the like true
Right.
ethos of this season of Love Island, which is just like
Completely.
cursed.
Well, that's the thing. By the finale, I was sort of rooting for Huda and Chris to win because it would just be the perfect representation of what this season was. It would be the
Exactly.
cherry on top of the shit sundae.
I was like, I'm not saying that's like what I like want in my heart of hearts, but
Right.
like that is what kind of would feel right to me.
It would feel appropriate. Yeah. Narratively, it would be satisfying, which
Yes,
so much
yes.
about this season has not felt narratively
Narratively
satisfying.
unsatisfying. This is the most narratively unsatisfying season.
Yeah. Because the only narratives that are kind of playing out feel very forced in some way, largely by production or the fan base, but also in some cases by the cast. And I'm like, no, the fact that they have stumbled into every single blunder that they could, that is the true narrative of this season.
Exactly.
So, pre-finale, Shelley and Ace made the press rounds. They're still in Fiji, I think, and have
Yeah,
not really been, at least as
as
of.
of what I last saw, they did not have their phones back yet. They were still in Fiji. They did like After Sun, and they spoke to a lot of press outlets over like Zoom. And some of the takeaways were that they talked more about like what the extent of their relationship pre-show was, because a lot of people had formed these like conspiracy theories that they were like fully involved with each other before coming on the show. And as I think we all knew, the extent of their relationship was basically nothing. They had met outside of a club, I think in the Bronx, and they had followed each other on social media. And like that was it.
Right, they were, like, engaging on social media.
Yeah, like a tiny bit. And Shelley
Right.
was like, yeah, and that wasn't a secret. And they also said that they were like genuinely shocked to see each other on Love Island. Something that I did see someone suggest on TikTok that I think Claire and I both agree would have been a smart move on the part of production was that either Shelley or Ace should have come in as an early bombshell, so that that like reveal of their familiarity could have been used to greater effect.
Yeah, and instead what happened is that Ace kind of put off a lot of the viewership by seeming to quite transparently strategize that it was too early to get together with his final person, and he knew that he was so into Shelley and really wanted to pursue that, that he played around a little bit, tried to pretend he was really trying to explore other people when clearly Shelley was his primary interest at the time. If production had brought her in later or had brought him in later, then that would have naturally worked itself out without needing to kind of
Yeah.
like engineer some sort of like, oh no, I want to explore Amaya instead. But no,
But
Amaya,
I hate
I
her.
actually hate you. I'm sorry. I just picked you for narrative purposes. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's kind of how it came off, and that it wouldn't have been necessary if they had spaced out their arrivals.
It's how it came off. And frankly, Ace sort of says this in not so many words. He's like, I definitely wasn't being strategic, but he does say that he didn't want to immediately couple up with Shelley. Like he wanted them, they were like, we already have this familiarity. We should explore other things. And I think that just like felt really transparent watching
Well, it
it.
does end up feeling fake. Like, I can understand saying, like, "Oh, since we already have this connection, we should really push ourselves outside of that." But
Sure.
you also could explore other people while being coupled up with each other. It's
Right.
clear you're primarily interested in each other, so it doesn't feel genuine to focus your couplings on other people instead of just being coupled and then talking to other people.
Yeah, I think it was just a grave error for Ace to not couple up with Shelley in that
Yeah,
first recoupling
it's
because everyone
unfortunate.
was confused. The audience was confused. It did just feel it did feel calculated, even if he didn't intend it to. And
That
I
was
think that
the
that
yeah.
screwed him.
That was the turning point. I mean, I really liked Ace initially.
Me
He's
too.
got a lot of, like, confidence and charisma. I liked Shelley a lot. They liked each other. This was great. And then when he picked Amaya and then immediately started setting constant boundaries with Amaya out of
It was just
nowhere,
bizarre.
it felt off-putting, and
Yeah,
that was kind of where things turned for him. It's unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. They also talked about the fact that like a lot of them ended up knowing each other previously in the villa. Like Shelley had met Amaya and Andreina, and Jeremiah and Nick had like worked together, I assume on a modeling gig. Ace said he knew Pepe beforehand. So just all the hot people of the nation are connected to each other.
They all know each other. I mean, the more that, like, the hot people industry of today develops, they're all going to the same modeling gigs, they're all
Brand events.
at brand events together, they're all sliding into each other's DMs because they're both the hottest people on Instagram. It's very hard to keep incredibly hot, famous people strangers to each other in this day and age.
Exactly.
They're all in the group chat together. Also, I was a little tickled that they were like, "Well, Ace had met a bunch of the guys, and Shelley had met a bunch of the girls, so it's the same as us already being romantically interested in each other before entering the villa." And it's like, it's not really the same
The
in terms
impact
of
is not the same.
it doesn't affect the audience perception of the romantic connections in the same way.
Right.
But it's yeah, I don't think it was calculated that they arrived there together.
Yeah, I don't either. They also told Variety that they plan to do long distance for now, but that Shelley is planning to move to LA where Ace is. So they seem like committed to pursuing their relationship. They're making plans. And they both said that they were rooting for either Nicolandria or Amaya and Brian in the finale. And look at that.
Yeah,
Our top two, baby.
they're just like us, stars. They're just like us. On that note, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, talk about the finale.
And we are back, and it's finale time, the most tepid finale. I'm like, it's the
Yeah.
finale.
They just ended the last episode by saying goodbye to Ace and Shelley. And we come back into them all celebrating that they get to stay for the final four. Nick and Alandria are just like making out on a daybed. And he seems very into it. And he says he was interested in Alandria since day one, but the villa turned him in a different direction. Everything has a meaning. He's just sort of like a weather vane.
I
He's
like that
like,
the villa just did this. The villa did it.
whatever hot woman the villa points me toward, that's the one I'm going to be in a relationship with.
Amaya and Brian are very kissy and cuddly and excited. And Chris, Huda, Iris, and Pepe all just seem truly shocked that they're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would be too.
Yeah.
And I am in fact shocked. It's very shocking that this is the final four.
It
Like
is a baffling Final Four. I can't overstate how baffling this Final Four is.
I kind of feel like they should all just go home, to be
I know. I was
honest.
like,
Of
we
like,
gotta pack it up. Like,
it's like when the Pulitzer Prize is like, I'm sorry, none of the books were good enough this year. We will not be awarding a prize. We cannot, in good conscience, award a prize to the best couple when there are basically no legitimate couples here.
exactly.
So with only 8 people left in the villa, things seem so empty and
I know. I was
quiet.
like, oh, the room is just so empty.
Yeah, it's less summer camp vibes now and more like sleepover vibes. Like they're all like prancing through
Yeah.
an empty villa, being like, final four, final four. And the sound is like echoing around them because it's so empty. Why is it that going from 10 to 8 feels like such a steep
I
drop
don't
off?
know, but it does. It's
Yeah.
like I was like alarmed by how empty and creepy the villa felt.
Maybe the fact that the final 4 feels so cursed is also part of it.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Um,
It's probably a big part of it, actually.
Spirits are high at bedtime and the boys are, like, having pillow fights and being like, "We're in the final 4, we did it!" And I'm like, Chris and Pepe must be so excited to finally get to say, "We're in the final 4."
They're so excited.
Chris is excited about that, but he still seems to hate Huda. He accidentally hits her in the face with the pillow, and then she's like, "Oh, Chris, seriously?" And gets up and leaves, and he rolls his eyes.
I was like, this is so they hate each other. This is so terrible.
And she comes back with a bandage on her nose and is like, "Now look what I have to do." Like,
Didn't you find out that like she had recently gotten a nose job?
I don't think we ever spoke about that, but I have seen that. I assume that's why she has nose bandages at all,
Yeah,
but
okay. Someone said to me that like she did have a rhinoplasty like very like fairly recently. And that would be why.
well,
But
that's why
it's,
she has a nose bandage, but to
yeah.
come out and passive aggressively be like, "I have to wear this nose bandage now because you injured
You
me
did
with the
this.
stray corner of a pillow," was a little
I mean,
dramatic,
just
a
like
little
the
dramatique.
resentment is so you could cut it with a knife, the tension.
Ugh. And I was like, you can I'm sorry, you can see why he rolls his eyes. She
No,
literally came
I
back with the
that's the
bandage
thing.
like he attacked her with a knife. Like,
They both just they need to just be
oh,
separated. They're like children who need to like go to their individual corners.
yeah. Then she gets in bed and he is already kind of turned away, is trying to sleep, and the way
Oh,
she
it's just
handles
bad.
this
Bad.
is so egregious. She's like, "I'm gonna give you until the count of 3 to, like, turn around and cuddle me," and then she counts to 3, and he's being like, "I just wanna sleep. I'm so tired. I don't wanna be sleepy tomorrow," and she says, "If not cuddling with me is worth me being mad tomorrow, that's the battle you're picking.
Oh
Congratulations."
God, it's not good.
I was like, "Okay, so first of all, the counting is a again, a parenting strategy. I'm not saying it's, like, the best parenting strategy. It is certainly one that I have used with varying results. It works really well on my toddler, and his older brother, it has never worked well on. But it is a parenting strategy. It's not a talking to your adult partner
No.
strategy. And the way that I use it with my toddler is mostly just to prepare him for the fact that I'm about to do something.
Yeah.
And she is preparing for him to know that she's about to be pissed because he's not giving her the physical contact that she demands.
Oh, it's
Like,
just
she's like,
such a
"I'm"
bad way to deal with this. Like I can understand feeling like, "Oh, we just won, we just moved on to the finale and like I feel kind of rejected by you." But instead of saying that or taking at face value that he's tired, she's like doing threats and treating him like her toddler.
right, you're threatening him. It actually is something my 5-year-old does sometimes, which is like, "If you don't do this, I'm gonna be so mad at you." As if we're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, well,
In that
in
case.
that case, like, yes, ice cream,
Yeah.
absolutely." Like, of course that doesn't motivate him to want to give her affection. She's threatening him for
No.
affection. That's not gonna be genuine affection, and you see her desire for a partner who's, like, obsessed with her, who's always, like,
Ay,
pulling
ay,
her
ay.
in, and he has never been that guy with her, and every time that she tries to force it out of him or extract it from him or threaten it out of him, the less he wants to give it to her freely.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so it doesn't work, and he seems like he's, like, really excited to be in the Final Four, but he also really wishes he weren't here, and he can't really sort out those emotions. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm winning, and I also hate this woman that I have
So
to be with."
much.
So the next day is final date day. They get a text about it as Amaya is, like, cantering up and down the bedroom, chanting, "Final 4, Final 4."
She has the zoomies.
And Nickel and Alandria are up first. So they head off on a little boat to a private island. They do the Jack and Rose, I'm the king of the world thing. And to be clear, Nick is the Rose and Alandria is the Jack. She's like standing behind him as he holds his arms out over the prow of the ship. And they arrive on this like little private island on a beach, which is like strewn with messages in a bottle from hashtag Nicolandria Nation.
Uh,
This was kind of,
it
I'm
was a
sorry,
lot.
this was alarming to me. That this
I
fully crossed
agree.
over to being deeply disturbing on this
I was like,
date.
this is just forcing these two people into your parasocial relationship with them. And in a very transparent effort, I thought, to like convince them that they are fated. Whether or not they
Yes.
feel that way. And like maybe they do feel that way. And if they do, that's lovely. But this is my frustration with the Nicolandria storyline, is that it doesn't feel like they were really given a chance to like organically decide whether they want this or not.
Right. It's been projected onto them. It almost feels like producers were nervous that Alandria, especially, was not buying in enough. And so they needed to provide her with the script. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe it was us the whole time. They needed to provide her with this strong sense of fatedness by telling her that everyone else can see what they have, giving her a storyline to like hook herself into. And so what you're reading is people writing these intense fantasies, like, of what they think Nick and Alandria are feeling for each other that they have interpreted based on these small
It's
cues.
way too much.
I can't imagine getting from strangers descriptions of what they think my partner and I feel about each other based on observing us from a
Right.
distance.
I feel like it would have been one thing if it was just people being like, we love seeing the two of you together, or something like
Right.
something more just like, as a viewer, like, I'm a big fan.
Right. No, it's fanfic. It's like
It's like intimate. It's intimate.
I have written a fanfic of what I think your relationship is in my head, and I believe that it is real. And I'm gonna tell you that fanfic until you have internalized that it is real.
Right. I found it heavy-handed, to say the least.
Yeah, it makes it feel more like these people are just like Barbie dolls we're mashing together, which is a little bit of the Love Island vibe already, but even more so, we talked about earlier in the season how we got to, like, couple up people against their will. Like, this season feels like the fan intervention is very heavy-handed, like,
That's
they're
the
just like
thing.
dolls that we are
And, like,
putting into our preferred couplings.
that's not how it felt watching last season.
Yeah, and I hate it. I'm like, I do love the rom-com storylines, and Nick and Alandria bring together a lot of rom-com tropes that I personally love. We got friends to lovers. We've
Mhm.
got, forbidden love because of their friends, being in the way, and we've got fake dating, like, they're forced together, and then they realize within the pair, like, maybe there was something here the whole time, right? I love that pairing. I'm reading a romance novel with that exact kind of trope right now, but it feels so externally imposed, like, these aren't characters, these are real people.
That's the thing, and maybe if we had more time with them in this couple, it would have just developed naturally, but because we're getting to the end, it's like they have to be there now.
Right.
They have to be fully in now. So we have to like use all the tools at our disposal from like the public, production, etc., their families to like enforce that.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
a little too much for me.
They even get
Uh
notes from Alandria's little sister and Nick's dad that are also like, "You love each other, see? Like, I'm so glad."
I was like, it's less weird coming from their
It's
families, I'm
less
gonna
weird
say.
it's less weird for them coming from their families, but I was still like, "Really? You're gonna try to convince them from afar that they should be together? Like, you're still not part of this relationship." I don't know. And it still feels like Alandria is talking herself into this, and every
I
time she gets
agree.
a message, she's like, "Oh, yeah, it really was in front of us the whole time. Like, his family actually my family actually likes him. That never happens. Like, I was just missing all the clues, I guess." But still nothing really about her intrinsically feeling a strong desire to be romantic with him. I
Yeah.
actually don't feel like we've seen an Alandria who feels, like, really
organically just like into someone.
Right, like, Taylor was,
Yeah.
like felt like he was checking boxes, and she was really set on, like, building that in an intentional way, and with Nick, she's like, "I should want this, I'm gonna try," but have we seen her kinda carried away with someone?
I
I
just
don't think
don't
so.
really feel like her guy was in the villa,
I
to be
don't think so
honest.
either. Yeah.
And like that sucks because we love her. And I do think that she and Nick have a very special connection. And like, I would love to be proven wrong and they go on to have like a beautiful romantic relationship. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's giving more like friends who like to make out.
totally. I know. Honestly, it would be really cute if, like, in 3 years, they were, like, on Instagram getting engaged, and it's like our friendship really blossomed into
Yeah,
a
no, would
romance,
love, to
but
be clear, would love
right.
that for them.
Yeah, but that's not what we're seeing right now. They sit and sip champagne and talk about how many times they've been in love, and Nick says he's been in love twice, but third time's the charm. I've heard the third one is supposed to be the one.
I was like, is
Ok
that a what?
okay. What? Is he saying that because he's heard the phrase "third time's the charm," or
I guess.
they agree to water their love plant outside of the villa. The impact of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days on this season has been strong through the love fern.
I know.
They talk about meeting the rest of their friends and family when they leave. And Nick says he calls her his hard boiled egg because she's hard on the outside and soft on the inside. I thought this was such a funny, of all the metaphors that you could use to go with hard boiled
I
egg.
was like, no, who wants to be a hard boiled egg?
I know. There's so many things that people would use to reference hard on the outside and squishy on the inside that to go with.
I just personally don't want to be a hard boiled egg.
Well, you don't
But
want to
maybe
be
that's just
like
me.
compared to the snack that you hope the person next to you on the train is
It,
not
it's
eating.
not eating. Well, exactly.
Alandria's into it though. And she says she wants to continue to be his anchor and have his back. And he says he has love for her. So sounds like a really beautiful friendship. But he does want to see where this goes. And they make out. And as always, he gets her makeup all over him.
And
And
he loves it.
he
They just
loves
laugh
it.
and laugh.
She's like, "You wear my lip kit more than I do."
Adorable. We also get some zoom out footage of them just making out on like a cliffside.
I don't even have the language to talk about the way that they shot this kiss. I wish I were more of a film nerd, but, like, it's so dramatic and cinematic that it was hard for me to feel like they were authentically kissing and not posing for a shot.
They were posing for a shot,
They were
Claire.
posing for
It's
it. Well,
very
yes.
obvious.
They were posing for a shot, but it's, like, slow-mo, and it's zooming out, and it's, like, the way that the camera is, like, capturing them and all the colors are hyper saturated, it just looks like the end of, like, an action romance or something.
100%. So we leave this moment of romance to head back to the villa where things with Huda and Chris are still falling apart. I was like, my God, why? Why are we doing this
I
still?
I will say if they're gonna be here, at least they're doing stuff. At least
That
they're
is true. They are quite captivating in a very dark-sided way.
Chris tells Brian that Huda poked him all night and gave him a 3, 2, 1 countdown to cuddle her. And he's like, if you're going to do that, I'm going to pick sleep every time. And Brian seems to agree, but he says he would still try to work things out if he were in that
They're
position.
all like everyone else is rooting for the two of them much more than Chris and Huda are rooting for themselves.
I don't even understand why. Like, why do you care if these people hate each other? Let
Just
them
let
be
them be
apart.
apart. Just let them be apart.
Chris tells
Chris is
Brian he's going to go on this final date and put his best foot forward, but if the fighting happens again, if she talks to him the way he doesn't like again, he might crash out.
I'm going to say he does
Foreshadowing.
not put his best foot forward.
And I also think that neither does well, Huda puts her medium foot forward, and I think that what we saw is Chris's version of a crash out.
Yeah. You're
He's very
right.
impassive, but
It's just a very quiet crash out. Huda also is chatting with Amaya about her frustrations with Chris, and she's like, he keeps getting so defensive. And Amaya is trying to
yeah.
give Huda some just like very sound advice about calmly approaching these kinds of issues. Like, you know, explain yourself, explain the things you value, and express appreciation for the things he does do. Huda
Yeah.
can't do that. She can only nitpick.
Yeah, that's it's just not her it's not her mode of communication. I think also like we see here that Huda's already in that place of feeling like she is keeping things to herself because she's afraid of his reaction, even though from the outside eye it also looks like she is never keeping
I
anything to
know.
herself.
You're
And
like, this is doomed.
as the Huda in my relationship, I'm like, I know how this feels where I'm like, I'm aware that I'm picking at him also all the time, but I'm
But you're
also
like, there's
like,
so much I haven't said.
there are a lot of things I didn't say, and that was really hard for me.
You're like, I
Uh,
could have been much meaner.
and in my relationship, this is when we have like a big hashing it out, like
Right.
disagreement, and like uh, express all the things we're feeling, and then like make an action plan. Like tensions have built up, something's
Right.
not
And you're like, now we
working.
need to address it, but we have like enough of a actual like foundation of the relationship in which to do that. And like they just need to break up.
Yeah, no, this happened. This devolved so quickly. The girls are watching while the remaining men are playing football and admiring how their men are all athletes. It's like, how did all these men on this dating show where you wear swimsuits all the time turn out to be so athletic?
It's so crazy.
And Amaya's like, my man got to be strong enough to carry me and my emotional baggage.
God, where does she get the one-liners?
And then Iris just sort of looks at her, and Amaya has to like do her own reaction. She kind of like like grabs like Iris's hand or something and like laughs as if to prompt her like that was a joke.
I mean, I personally loved it.
Me too.
When Nick and Alandria return to the villa, Nick is like, I'm living in a rom-com. We know, Nick.
Yes,
We're
no.
aware.
You literally are. He's like, life comes at you fast on Love Island in bad ways, but also in good ways, like suddenly being with Alandria and all of America is rooting for you. Alandria tells her friends that Nick wants to explore after Fiji, and she seems pretty happy with how things are going.
Again, I'm just so curious to see where we find these two in a month.
I know.
Then it's time for Pepe and Iris's date, and this made me laugh so much because we spent almost no time on this date. They
I
like
know.
dipped in and dipped right out at the
I think
cameras.
Iris ends up describing a whole part of it that we don't even see, I think.
No, we see truly like 3 minutes.
Yeah, they go on a sailboat and snorkel, and I was like, what is happening here? At one point, she says that Pepe has a sailboat. Does she mean this sailboat, or does she mean that he
No,
has
no,
a
no.
sailboat so he can sail?
Yes, that's what she meant.
He's raising the sails, and I was like, oh, Pepe can sail. Or as Iris puts it later, drive. She's like,
drive the
he
sailboat.
drove us over to go snorkeling. They pose for insane glamour video footage at the wheel. Like, this is their version of the Nicolandria craggy makeout.
Yeah, it's insane.
Romantic music plays. You can't play enough romantic music to convince me of this couple.
Again, I was just like, such nice, beautiful people, such zeros television wise.
And
I just don't care. I'm like, okay, great. They cheers to their first and last date. And I was like, yeah, this will probably be your last date.
I mean, to be fair, their last date. To be fair, there have only been like 3 dates this whole season until this
Yes.
episode. But she almost left with TJ like 5 days ago. So like, I'm sorry, I'm just not getting too worked up about it. But they do agree that they want to keep dating after the villa.
I mean, they live near each other. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, literally, why not? They agree that the first date has to be in and out in the beach since it's the typical California date. And I'm like, that would be the way this couple would do things, is just to be like, well, that's what people do on average. So I guess we'll just do that.
That one sounds good.
They make out, and in the midst of making out, Pepe murmurs, "Thank you. This is so romantic."
I have
I
nothing to say. Claire, I
I
literally have
do.
nothing to say about them.
I, like, screamed at that. I was like, "That is such a weird thing to say during a makeout." Both "thank you" and "this is so romantic" are
Together,
weird
it's
things
really
to
stunning.
say. I mean, again, like, the "this is so romantic" line, I'm so cynical at this point, but they're all so obsessed with people seeing them as romantic or seeing them as having romantic
And they're very
storylines.
overt about it. Like, they all
Right.
just say it. They're like, "People are gonna think this is so romantic, and it's so nice that I was meant to be with you
Right,
because America."
you can't convince me to feel romantic about this by having Pepe say, "This is so romantic," while he's kissing Iris. It's a little too on the nose. But yeah, that's about all we see of it. Apparently, they go snorkeling and see a starfish. And Iris says afterward that it was the best date she's ever had in her life.
Okay.
And apparently, she's wearing much better sunscreen than Pepe because he is burned to a crisp. Huda and Chris's date is next.
And you know it's gonna go badly because even the narrator, Ian Sterling, gets a joke in there about how the date everyone has been waiting for, except Chris, who has been dreading this date.
I mean, as long as he's not on a date, Chris gets to hang out with his boys and like toss around a football. Now he has to go talk to Huda. That sucks. He
It's
doesn't
true.
want to do
It's
that.
horrible for him.
Meanwhile, Huda is like, I'm a bit rusty. I haven't been on a date in a while, as if she's not one of the only people here who's had a date this season. She should be
The
like
vibes are
more
just
oiled up than most of them.
the vibes are just so fucking ominous.
Yeah. Alandria encourages Huda to bring up the issue she's been having with Chris, and Huda is really anxious. It's like it's obvious that she has been making an effort, even though she has so much to work on still.
Yeah, I agree.
And she's like, I want to do this right. Chris puts on a knit matching set for the occasion. Looks pretty nice. Looks like something I would get from like Zara for my children
I
in
mean,
a good
yeah, I
way.
would wear something like it myself.
Totally. They head to dinner on like it's one of those places where there's a shallow pool and then there's a table on a platform in the middle. And so she's wearing heels, so Chris carries Huda over the water to the table.
I did really feel like these final two night dates were so Bachelor coded. They
This was
looked like
like
a Bachelor in Paradise classic set.
classic Bachelor in Paradise setup that I'm always like, does this even exist outside of Bachelor in Paradise? Like, could I go somewhere where the whole restaurant is just one table on a platform and we have to walk through the water?
They do actually eat though on this show.
That's true. I mean, he has to eat because he doesn't want to talk to her. Whenever they've reached an awkward pause in the conversation, he just starts like shoveling in forkfuls of food. And Chris starts off determined to, I
I
guess,
think he
just,
wants to avoid it. I think
yeah.
Chris maybe wants to just like ride things out until the end of the show. I think he's
Yeah.
sort of like, what's the point of us fighting on camera again?
Right. Well, it's like the way
Which
that
I
he
get.
didn't want to fight about the kissing in public thing anymore, but he clearly was still bothered by it. Like he's like, if we don't talk about it, it's not real, and then this will all be over soon.
Yeah. But
But then
Huda like can't do that.
once she starts bringing up real problems, I think that his plan shifts to get Huda to
Break up with
be
me.
right, get Huda to be the bad guy here by breaking up with
100%.
me. So he's like, I feel great. I found what I was looking for here with you, and I can see the potential in us. And I'm like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Bullshit,
You
bullshit.
feel
Lies,
bad.
lies, lies, lies,
You
lies.
didn't find what you were looking for. You don't see potential.
And then Huda is like, I agree, but I think we need to address our issues head on so that there's no animosity building up. And she does tell him that she wishes if things are bothering him that he would just like say them to her, which I do think is a completely fair ask of Chris.
Totally. And he has, I think, a lot of valid
100%.
grievances to bring up should he do so. So he finally does. He's like, you didn't really listen to my side when we talked about the kissing in public thing. And the way that you spoke to me last night in bed, counting to 3, so I would cuddle you, it made me feel like a little kid. Like I'm not a kid, I'm a grown man. And by this point, I was like, Huda, this is already going off the rails. She is already trying to interrupt
I
him.
know.
Every time
Girl.
he said, I'm like, this is the whole point. You want him to express his feelings. Let him express it before you start trying to justify, explain.
Right. You just need to listen.
'cause now what it comes off as invalidating. You are invalidating his feeling by saying, "Oh, but I had a good reason for doing that." Maybe you did, but that doesn't make his feeling unworthy of expressing.
And either way, just wait.
Right.
Just wait.
I think it's totally valid for both of you to bring your perspectives on everything, but if you can't let him finish expressing his perspective before you're justifying why you made him feel that way,
Yes.
then you're not reaching that place of understanding. And she's like, "Oh, well, I did the countdown because I knew you were awake." Like, no, that's not a good
You
reason.
still can't do the countdown.
Finally, she does let him finish, but she's like palpably irritated. And then she expresses, I think quite fairly and articulately at this point, what she should have waited to express the whole time, which is like, I really like feel validated by my partner paying a lot of attention to me, like holding me, grabbing me, and you don't really do that with me. I'm the one who has to always initiate those things, and that makes me feel rejected. And I was like, "Oh, maybe they're gonna actually talk through back and forth the disconnects they have in their relationship." But that is not what happens.
He doesn't even really respond to this.
Well, they're both now talking about their needs from each other
Yeah,
and not focusing on how it makes the other person feel at all.
correct.
Like, her response was, "Here's my feeling that led to me acting that way." And he's like, "Well, here's my feeling when you act that way." At some point, you have to also kind of acknowledge how you're making the other person feel, which they're not
No, they
really
are
doing.
incapable of doing that. And then she kind of starts sighing and looking a little annoyed, and this makes Chris completely shut down.
Yeah, he's like, "This is why I pick my battles because of these reactions." And she's like, "I'm just listening. That's why I'm sighing heavily. I'm looking at you in an annoyed way with my face in my hand." And I'm like,
Like,
"Okay,
Huda, it's called a
Huda."
nonverbal cue, babe.
Yeah, we're not idiots. And Chris says that he's given Huda the reassurance that he wants to do this outside of the villa,
I
but
was
he
like,
hasn't gotten that
has
back.
he?
I guess he said earlier that he feels like they have potential. But, like, again, nonverbal cues, Chris. Huda is not the only one who sends them. Every single nonverbal cue you have been sending for days has
Is
been
I hate
negative.
you.
And this is when it starts to feel a little bit like unintentionally gaslighting to
And I
Huda.
will say, Adam popped in. He has not followed this season. He was watching this and he was like, wow, that woman seems very frustrating. And then he was watching it back. He kept watching and was like, he's like gaslighting her right now. He wants her to break up with him. Like, he doesn't
One
want to be in this relationship. Like, Adam has never
100%.
seen, has no history with these people. And he was like, oh, so what's happening now is he's like, and
Right.
yeah, I don't think that Chris is like a bad guy by any means, and I don't think that he was like, as you said, intentionally trying to be like invalidating in that way, but that is sort of what ends up happening.
Well, he doesn't want to break up with her, but he doesn't
But he
wanna be with her
does. Right.
anymore. Right. And so he is verbally saying, "I see potential in us. I've told you I wanna do this outside of the villa," but he is constantly like, the dislike is radiating off of him. He turns away from her, he rolls his eyes, he, like, doesn't really show much interest in initiating conversation, in initiating physical touch, in anything. So he's sending her constant signals that he hates her. And then when she asks about it, he's like, "No, I really like you. I think you're the one who
But
doesn't
you
like
it's
me."
clear to me that you don't want to be with me. Like,
Right.
I
He's like,
can see where you stand, but you should just say it.
"Right. I've told you that I want to pursue this, but I can see that maybe that's not what you want. So would you like to just actually tell me that? I'm just waiting for you to tell me that." And finally, she's like, "Well, I want to get to know you after this, but I'm nervous about long distance. We aren't even exclusive, and we really need to work on like the physical aspect of our relationship, which would be really hard long distance." And so she talks it through, and finally she's like, "I think we should just be friends." Meanwhile, a
Oh
live
my
performance
God.
of Moon River has started in the middle of their fight.
Started to like truly I don't have a visceral, like physical reaction to this. I was like, this is so mean. Everyone else gets these like love messages from their like fans and family, and they get the most awkward live performance of Moon River in the middle of a fight. It's like, this is horrible.
exactly at what is supposed to be, like, the romantic moment where they both have, like, affirmed their feelings for each other, and then they can, like, sort of sway in the water to the song together. Instead, she is processing, "Yes, I think we should just be friends." And he's like, "Oh, well, it sounds like you're not confident in our connection." Chris, you are confident that you hate her. So, like, why don't you just say it? Instead, she's the one who says it, and then he acts like he is being
Oh, aggrieved. Yeah,
so he's like, no, that's fine, I'm no hard feelings. I'm gonna handle this, like, really maturely. That's great. I understand. That's your decision. That's fine." She's like, will we still be cool after? We're gonna have all the same friends. Can we, like, hang out?" And
he's like,
he's like
"No."
He's like, "Not right now. I need to not like you first." Sir, you do not like her. Listen,
At
that's
this
taken
point,
care of.
he's just punishing her.
Yeah. He's just sort of trying to turn the emotional knife a little bit. And then they get up to leave. He walks away and then comes back and is like, "Should we go?" And she stands up and she's in tears, and he's like, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying? You made your decision."
Sir,
This really pissed me off. I'm
me
like, first of
too.
all, you know why she's crying. Suddenly you wanna talk about it? You know why she's crying, even if she's the one who had to say it was over. This clearly wasn't the evening she wanted to be having.
No.
She's clearly hurt over the way things ended.
And she's allowed to be, and she's allowed to have feelings. Like,
You're also allowed to have feelings about it, but you seem
yes.
more interested in kind of, again, twisting the knife.
And then, they're on this little platform. She's in stilettos. And she's like, "Are you going to carry me back over?" And he's like, "I won't be carrying you."
Yeah. So she has to take off her heels and walk through the water, and she
Although it does give her the opportunity for a truly like Claire Crawley level iconic exit moment, which is that she takes her heels off, starts to walk away, turns back around, refills her champagne, and then leaves. And I was like, honestly,
I would need that
hell
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I there's been debate about whether he should have carried her back across the water even though they broke up. I think he should have. I'm just gonna I listen, I think that they came to this romantic date that was clearly set up in a way that was more difficult for her to navigate as a woman in
Yes.
heels. Part of the assumption is that the man will carry her. They have this breakup that, I'm sorry, was not her independent choice. He wanted it to happen. He was baiting her into
No,
it.
it really was like a mutual breakup. And also, no one did anything like egregious. It was not like, this was not like a breakup of
Right.
infidelity. This was like a breakup of, we're having some stupid little fights and we're realizing that we're not a good match.
And you wanna leave things looking like the good guy on good terms, but you're going to kind of, like, strand her in her heels here. I'm sorry, that's not a good look to me.
I
Obviously,
agree.
she can figure out her way back, and she does, but, to me, that was really off-putting, especially combined with sort of, like, taunting her about crying.
I just felt like there was like some meanness. And again, I don't fault him for having resentment towards her. There were some like very frustrating moments that if I was him, I also would have been frustrated by. But like the relationship has ended. Like,
Right. And I'm sorry, ultimately, I think that he was also contributing to the
yes, it
dynamic.
was mutual. It was not this was not a situation where it was one person's fault. And this was, to be clear, I don't think this was not the same situation as with Jeremiah. Like, this was not
Yeah.
a relationship where there was like emotional abuse questionably happening. This was just like tension that indicates it's not a good fit.
Right. I really didn't like how he handled this breakup, and honestly, I say that if he had come in and been like, "The way that you have been talking to me is not acceptable within my relationship. I won't be spoken to like that, and I don't think that we're compatible in the long term." I
I
would
would
have
have
respected
respected
that.
that.
I
Absolutely.
wish he had done that. I mean, I guess he gave her the gift of getting to end it herself, but it felt more like it was what was convenient for him.
Yeah.
So when they return, the vibes are so bad that everyone can tell from like across the villa that something bad happened. And Huda tells the girls what happened and that she remained calm and didn't yell. Growth.
Growth.
Chris tells the guys there are no hard feelings, and also he's seen all the red flags he needs to see.
Okay.
There
Seems
are
like there are some feelings.
there are hard
A
feelings.
few of
Like,
them are hard.
he told Huda he didn't want to hang out because he still likes her, but I think it's clear that he doesn't want to hang out because there are hard feelings about how she acted in the relationship.
He also tells the camera he no longer gives a fuck.
Yeah. There are some feelings that are not
Yeah.
soft there.
Yeah.
And then the tone abruptly changes because Amaya and Brian have a date to go on. And
It's like, oh my God. The emotional, like,
whiplash.
yeah.
She's in a red mini dress. She's like, I'm body oiled up, lip gloss popping. My heart is going nothing but love. I feel like the most ultimate Dominican Cinderella that there is. And she tells Brian that she finally found her glass slipper and it's him. I love that out of all of the characters in Cinderella, she's like, Brian, you are my shoe.
You're not Prince Charming. You're the
I'm like,
glass slipper.
Yeah, Amaya, there's already a character for the love interest in Cinderella.
It's so perfect. That is like so Amaya coded though, because she says everything almost correctly, but like a little wrong. Like
Mrs.
every word
Malaprop.
is like a little wrong.
But I think also it's that she likes the metaphor. I'm gonna give her more credit here. I think that she likes the metaphor of him fitting her perfectly.
I do too. I do think that she had an
Yeah.
actual point, which is like, I tried on all of these men and they didn't fit,
Yeah,
and you do.
you do.
And they get, again, this was so Bachelor coded to me. They like sit in this like created set in the middle of nowhere, and they look through a scrapbook of baby and childhood photos
Yeah.
of Brian and of Amaya, and then like production stills of the two of them.
I know, it's like children's photos, and then abruptly it's like Amaya's ass in a photo booth with Brian. And then they talk a little bit about their families and how close they are to their families. And Amaya sobs naturally and says that every time she cries with Brian, it's happy tears.
Oh. And
And
Amaya says, if my light is too bright for somebody, wear sunglasses. That is not a me problem. And she says that Brian looks right into the sun. Oh.
It's not
And then
recommended.
he asks her to be exclusive. Finally,
Yeah.
we have one couple.
One exclusive couple headed into the finale. And they end with a slow dance. When they get back to the villa, they gather the whole group by the fire pit and tells them that they decided to make it exclusive. I guess it's so late in the show that they don't even use the close it off term anymore.
No, because they're like, to be clear, we're gonna date after the
Right.
villa.
And then Huda and Chris have to tell them that they were breaking up in the
awkward.
meantime. After this, Alandria tells the camera that she wishes Huda hadn't cut things off with Chris.
I was like, why?
I don't know. I
Did
mean,
she, for the
Ala-
show, or is this just
Yeah.
consistent with like Alandria really likes to stick with things until they are fully dead and gone?
have we ever seen Alandria cut something off? She didn't cut off Taylor. She didn't cut off Nick. She even had Nick during Casa be the one to say that they should focus on Sierra and Taylor. I don't think we've ever, even with Zach K, we didn't really see her cut things off.
Yeah,
She
I
sometimes
was like,
telegraphs
honestly,
disinterest, but she doesn't cut things off.
I was like, Huda absolutely should have cut things off.
100%. I think that both Huda and Chris should have cut it off a long time ago.
Yes.
They all settle in for one last sleep in the villa, and Chris gets up to go sleep in Soul Ties, which looks weird because there are 10 empty beds, but apparently they are not allowed to stay in the bedroom if they're not in sleeping in their couple bed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was clear that I assume he would have gone to one of the other beds if that was
Right.
allowed. But it does feel like hilariously dramatic.
And then Huda's like, oh, he's so dramatic. It's probably because I ended things with him. And I'm
She's
like,
doing this thing where she keeps being like, remember when I was the one to end it?
he's
I did
just
it.
salty about that because I ended things. So I guess she did in a way get the gift of being the one who gets to claim that she ended things. In a way, that's why men like push women to do it, even though it's emotionally torturous. They're like, I benefit by seeming like the good guy who got dumped and
Right, and she benefits
she,
because she gets to seem like she has the power,
she's
even though I have the
empowered.
power.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fucked up. So yeah, but I was like, Huda, obviously he doesn't want to sleep in the bed with you. He again hates your guts. And
Honestly, it's a gift to her that he went to sleep in Soul Ties because then she can just like sleep in peace
yeah,
in a
she can
bed and have like a
starfish.
full bed. He's 6'8". He takes up a lot of room.
I know. They must get big beds for all these athletes
No,
that
he
they
says at one
cast.
point that he like basically doesn't fit in the bed.
Dangles off of it.
Yeah.
So that morning, Huda says she's free from the shackles of a man. And Chris tells Brian that shit is home cooked, deep fried. Because Brian is like, do you think you might find your way back
It's like,
to each
no,
other?
guys,
It's
Alandria, Brian,
over.
it's done.
They're gonna go back home tonight and be long distance and fix this relationship that is already deeply broken on every
And they've
level.
officially ended it. Like, no, they're done. I will say Huda has never seemed more peaceful than when she is without a man.
No,
She seems good.
she definitely does not need to be with a man at this point in her life. But fortunately she's about to get a little separation from Chris because the girls get a text that they get to leave the villa for some R&R.
Which
Or
Amaya, as we alluded to earlier, believes means Rolls Royce. And
she's
this Rolls
classy.
Royce is sponsored by CeraVe.
I know, we go right from her being like, "What's Rolls Royce? Like, what's R&R like a Rolls Royce?" to watching Iris washing her face with the CeraVe foaming
So
cleanser
funny.
and going, "Yeah, I feel like whenever I do have blemishes that it helps me so much." And Iris is like, "Uh-huh," like scrubbing
Yeah,
her
and then I
face
was
with the
like,
foam.
we're in a CeraVe ad now. Okay, got it. Got it. I understand.
I
It's like it
mean,
felt
yeah.
very Truman Show-esque to me.
Well, this is one of their more Golden Bachelor wedding special Amazon
Yes,
integration
I hate
moments
it.
where they're not making a big joke out of it, and it's just really jarring how we're in the middle of a naturalistic scene, and suddenly Amaya is clearly trying to remember kind of the talking points for CeraVe while Iris is washing her face, even though she already did her hair. And then they're off to the outdoor CeraVe spa. Hoda and Iris hold hands and get a couple's massage, and Alandria and Amaya sip mimosas by the pool. And Amaya says, "Cheers to sistership." Again, there is already a word for that.
No, again, this is Amaya, just a little bit wrong. Usually right at the end.
Alandria says Nick always speaks highly of her, and she's never had that in a partner.
That sucks.
I really hate that for her. That's terrible. So, cut to all of the men dressed in their tuxedos. I hesitate to say their finest, which is what we have written here
I
because
did write it with, a lot of dots and then a question mark to be in fairness to myself, because they all it's it's not great.
they're all in tuxedos, and I think that Nick is having us casting sort of a pull on the surroundings
I
because
could not. No,
his tux
absolutely
jacket,
not.
it's like a gold and black paisley brocade.
I hated it.
He's so cute. Why are you doing this to yourself?
You know what? This isn't the first time, Claire. Remember the acid wash?
Oh shit, yeah.
Nick has had some really egregious fashion moments, and it
Yeah.
just sort of, washes over you because he's so adorable.
Whenever
This
it's
is
time for
unacceptable.
like a big romantic moment, he's like, "What is the most offensive thing to the eye that I have in my closet?
I found it.
I want to distract attention from my rakish smile and my bouncing curls." Huda arrives first in a sparkly purple dress, looking gorgeous and relaxed. And Chris is like, "Wow, you look beautiful."
They
What
really
goes on in his brain?
I don't know, but they really do pull it together for this final ceremony. It's so bizarre. Amaya is dressed in like full on Barbie core. Iris looks beautiful and like silver sparkles.
She's got quite sort of like an Audrey Hepburn look going on with her like hair and makeup, I feel
I
like.
thought it
Like
was really
very
nice.
retro.
I really liked her dress and her makeup and hair.
Yeah. And Alandria is in this very striking gown with like a sculptural gold bodice.
Yeah, it almost reminded me a little bit of what Taylor from Love is Blind DC wore
Mm,
to the
yeah.
reunion. You know, that like very striking, yeah, gold bodice with like a black skirt.
Yeah. And then they all dance. I was baffled by this. I was like, is this prom? What is happening? And then they start doing the choreographed dance from the show premiere to the Janelle Monáe song, but it's in slow-mo
The
and
slow-mo really threw me.
it's like a slow-mo remix or cover of the song. It's very bizarre. I was like, I'm losing my grip on reality. This is a nightmare sequence or a dream sequence. Depends on what happens at the end of it, I guess. Do they don't do that every season?
I don't know, to be
Like,
honest.
now is the part where you do again your little dance where you cross your arms and, like, jut your head back and forth, but we'll do it in slow-mo with a different version of the song. And then they have to give their love speeches to each other. Iris and Pepe go first, and Iris's speech is like the Love Island version of a maid of honor speech about the bride.
Yeah, you're so right. Oh my God.
I was like, "Where have I heard this before?" She's like, "I can't believe that we met as bombshells all those weeks ago. Together, we've navigated the lion's den. We've supported each other throughout, yada, yada. I
Oh
found
my
my best
God.
friend." And then Pepe gives his speech and says he loves her beautiful eyes and her resilience and how she's the only woman he could see himself walking out of here with.
Hello, Hannah.
These men are such liars. I'm like,
Liars.
you literally would have walked out of here with Hannah. Like, I don't care if you're more into Iris now, but you literally would have. So what are you talking about?
Liar, liar. Yeah, I don't even care about these two. Amaya and Brian have very romantic declarations. And Amaya says that every decision has led her to find her personal Prince Charming. He fills her cup. He embraces the waterfall of her emotion. And he has reminded her that she's a bird who can fly, no matter what branch she lands on.
Yeah, you don't have to land on just a specific branch to be a bird who can fly.
And she's like, this is the end of our journey on Love Island, but the beginning of our fairy tale. She's very committed to the fairy tale bit.
She is the Dominican Cinderella. And Brian says the past days have been unforgettable and full of moments I will never forget. This guy was trying to hit word count.
Huh. What should come after unforgettable?
What's something that
Moments,
goes with being
moments
unforgettable?
I'll never forget.
He talks about how he loves Amaya's zoomies and her layers. She says that she is his piece to this madness and that, quote, "we are two misunderstood people who understand each other."
Ah, beautiful.
Ugh. Huda and Chris go next.
I was honestly shocked here because my first reaction was like, why are they doing this? They shouldn't even be here. This is like painful.
They don't
But
even
then-
go here.
Yeah. But then somehow they like gave the best speeches.
I mean, because they can't be generic about it, right?
Right.
They're not together, so they can't give one of those speeches about how they are in love. So they have to dig a little bit deeper. I felt like they were also lying a lot because I do think that Chris and Huda still kind of hate each other and
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like
they-
the other person is to blame for what happened.
They were just like, we got to pull it together.
Yeah, they were like, what would a really generous, big-hearted person who is totally healed from a breakup say about their experience? And Huda talks about how Chris helped her grow as a person and a partner, and they took lessons from this that weren't, ultimately it wasn't romantic between them, but they've taken lessons for their future dating experiences. And she says that she came in with a certain idea of what a man should be, and he showed her more about what a man could be. And she acknowledges that she needed to learn grace and calm communication and to not focus too much on the physical. Chris talks for a while,
His
and
is long.
he lists a lot of qualities that she has that he loves. Um, goofiness and like her lunar eyes and like all these wonderful qualities. And he says she was very brave to come on the show and talks about how lucky her daughter is and how he saw through how she parented their doll baby what a wonderful mom she is. He says she should be proud of herself and that they met at this time for a reason, even though
The reason is to hate each
the
other.
reason is to hate each other. They got to practice some important relationship communication skills with
They
someone
did.
that they now hate.
Yeah. I'm sure that they will feel a lot less heated towards each other once they just like don't have to physically share a space.
Yeah,
It's too much.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. They're in the midst of probably what will be the low point of their relationship going forward. Nick and Alandria go last. Alandria says she's never felt so seen or understood, and friendship is the best foundation for a relationship.
Huh. Yeah, you don't say. Or what
She
if friendship is just the best foundation for
for friendship.
friendship?
I think it is. It's funny because this was also her pre-existing philosophy, and she kind of tried to make that happen with Taylor by like being coupled with him, but continually being like, and we are building a friendship, which is the best foundation for a relationship. But it's like dating and not doing a ton of making out is not the same as being friends first. And she's like, no, but now I really am in a relationship that was friends first, and it's so great. One day I'll start to be into him romantically. She isn't sure how she never noticed that it was Nick the entire time. It feels natural to explore this with him. She can't wait to keep reading the next chapter, and she hopes they have something everlasting in the real world.
Something like a friendship.
I think they will.
Yeah. Nick, in his speech, says that they missed so many signs along the way, but he was always her secret admirer. But a sign finally appeared on the highway we call life. Huh, did you make that one up yourself, Nick?
Life is a highway. I'm going to ride it all night long.
Wow, that's beautiful, Claire.
He was shocked by how strong of a team they were when they were parents to Marcel, and their last days in the villa became his favorite days in the villa.
Recency bias, Nick.
I know Sierra's watching, like, absorbing those hits alone in her apartment. He's not sure if they'll become partners, lovers, or best friends. I have a guess. But he cares for her, and he ends his speech with hashtag Nicolandria.
They're like, we're doing it for the fans. We're
Doing it for the
doing it.
fans.
You're welcome.
They need this. He's like, I am a part of Nicolandria Nation. I'm going to make this work.
At this point, Ariana arrives in a sexy bridal white set. As someone said in our Substack chat, she looks like a whipped cream mermaid.
Yeah.
And I agree.
She has like a fishtail braid crown.
Oh, the hair looked
And her
amazing.
waves. And it's time to crown the winners of Love Island USA. Ariana is also here to come out as part of Nicolandria Nation.
We knew. I think we knew.
Everyone is clearly so in the tank for Nicolandria. She's like, I saw your chemistry from night one. You all did amazing for staying open. In other words, for this season continuing to exist at all, even though all the good connections kept getting broken up.
Thank you to all of you for your service.
You stayed, you committed to
being here physically still.
You committed to being here physically and figuring out some sort of convincing-ish relationship you could be in so that we could have a finale. Thank you so much.
So she is there to announce the winners. And in fourth place, Iris and Pepe. Third place, Huda and Chris. And I do have to say, Huda looked so relieved that they didn't win.
Iris and Pepe, well, Iris looked a little bit peeved to be fourth to me. Especially, I have to feel like it must not feel good to come in below Huda and Chris, who have been having the most toxic breakup for the last 3 days.
Rough.
Second place is Nick and Alandria. So the winners are Amaya and Brian. And I was dying at how this was announced over an even slower cover of Snow Patrol's already slow song, Chasing Cars.
I was like, we slowed it down more. Oh.
And like this to me is like a sad song. I know that even though I used to listen to it on my breakup playlist and cry, it is a love song, but it just kind of feels like a love song about two lovers who are dying together.
I agree.
It's like tragic love vibes. And then they were like, and a slower version of it by a female vocalist.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we're forgetting the world?
We're just laying here for a really long time. Maybe because we can't move.
It just inherently feels like a sad song.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It does.
I will say, as a millennial, I will love that song forever. It's so good.
So I was,
So
do you think
good.
I wasn't singing it to myself as I watched
100%.
this? Obviously. I was like, if I lay here.
The fact that I was more focused on this than on who won the show does feel fitting.
It does feel really right. And then we cue the fireworks. All the girlies are hugging each other. Amaya starts just like running in circles around the whole villa. And Ariana's like, Amaya's got the zoomies.
I do feel like Amaya would have started screaming and running around regardless of who won, but this had to give her a little extra oomph.
100%. Amaya weeps, telling the audience that there's just always someone out there who's going to love you for you. She says, don't ever settle for nobody. And Brian says he's so thankful to have met Amaya. And the rest of the Islanders seem thrilled for them too. They're like, Amaya and Brian probably like each other the most out of everyone left here.
Yeah.
So this feels right. And Nick gives like a very sweet speech about how Amaya was just so misunderstood.
One thing I'll say about Nick is that he is so good at just being extremely present in whatever the current feeling is about whoever.
So true.
He's just like, Amaya is doing way too much. She's done. And also she's so misunderstood. And I'm always here for her, but also she should change the way she's acting.
No, that
is
also does explain so much about how he approaches like everything. It's like he'll have when he had that conversation with Huda where he was like, I am here for you and I don't want you to feel like you're alone. Cut to like 5 minutes later. You should have left and I kind of wish you still did.
Right, exactly.
He's like, but no, I meant both of those things.
He fully means everything. He's into every girl. He pivots seamlessly. Like, and I still part of me finds it charming.
I don't disagree.
That's his power. And at this point, it's time for Brian and Amaya to choose love or money. I forgot this was coming. Obviously, I've never seen it before.
Twist, and like, I think everyone just splits the money because it would be so ruinous.
Yeah,
like reputationally to not. Also,
well, that's the thing.
Another Adam commentary was, this is not enough money to risk your reputation for.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, come back when it's $1 million.
This kind of like Bachelor pad era, this makes sense as a twist because no one really knew how to monetize being on a reality dating show yet. And now it's actually very easy to monetize. Even if you are not one of the biggest breakout stars, you can make over $100,000.
And these people, especially the women, like they are all going to get major brand deals. They are coming out with like 1 million+ followers.
Amaya has like 2.5 million followers. Like she doesn't know that yet, but she does have to know at this point that fans have a soft spot for her. They have enough information to know that.
Yeah, she's going to give that up million on Instagram, and that's just Instagram. That's not even TikTok,
right? And the idea that she would give that up for an extra 50K, it doesn't make any sense.
And Brian's not a dummy.
Right. So these twists always at this point and they're introducing it to Bachelor in Paradise for some reason. It's an irrelevant twist at this point and this era of like professional influencing and reality TV because there's no incentive that aligns with choosing the money.
No. So yeah, they choose to split, or Brian chooses to split.
Well, this I did hate. That the way they format this is not that like a prisoner's dilemma where they each get to choose. It's like they each pick an envelope. One person picks an envelope with 0. One person picks the envelope with 100K, and then that person gets to choose. So Amaya ends up having no power. She gets $0.
Yep.
And Brian is the one who picks.
Yep.
Amaya Papaya should get the envelope.
Honestly, Amaya Papaya should get the full 100K. Brian is so lucky.
Yeah. He's hitched his wagon to the right star. Yeah. But of course he splits the money with Amaya because he's not a dummy. And I do think that he likes Amaya. They seem so similar. Like their families, their backgrounds, like, they just are gelling. Why not?
I agree. And they're also the kind of long distance that is super easy. He lives in Boston. She lives in New York. Like very doable.
Right. And then the amount of money you can make in brand partnerships as a couple that won Love Island, like
incredible stuff.
It would be crazy to throw that away for an extra.
It would be crazy. Yeah, if you actually like each other, it would be completely bonkers. Ariana announces that the Love Island season 7 reunion will be happening. They're filming it in New York City, and it will be dropping on Peacock August 25th. So obviously we will be back here on the pod to discuss that reunion when it happens.
And these Islanders are so excited, even though they just found out that they have to go to New York City in August.
It's okay. They'll all go on like a brand trip to the Hamptons right before and after.
That's true. But you know what? They're blessed. And that brings us to the end of Love Island season 7. Final time we're going to ask this season, were these episodes our type on paper? Rated from 0, the opposite of our type on paper, to 10. They were our type on paper to a T.
I don't even know how to rate these episodes.
You know what? I'm pretty low. This didn't turn it around for me. It was too late in the season.
Like there were cute moments.
There were cute moments.
Like a 2.
Yeah, I think I'm at a 2. Like, some of my favorite people were tied up in relationships that felt really forced. The Nick and Alandria fanfic date gave me the ick. And that they both, especially Alandria, to me, deserve better. Amaya and Brian were kind of the bright spot, but we didn't even have enough time to get to know them for me to be that invested. And just everything, there was just such a pall over this season. And the Hood and Brian stuff depressed me and made me think about my own flaws as a partner too much, which is not what I watch these shows for.
I know.
So I think I'm at a 2. This season just couldn't be salvaged for me.
But I am excited to start watching Beyond the Villa, get back with my season 6 cast, and I'll probably just like continue to do a little rewatch of season 6 because it's so delightful. And on that note, that brings us to the end of this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire.
Love to See It as a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by John Bahar. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like our show, remember to follow us, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. And of course, spread the word to all of your friends about our show.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
Or leave a little message in a bottle on a beach somewhere, and hopefully we'll find it. You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey: Eric Donnelly, Eric Constantino, Kate Rose, Maura Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Schuff.
We'll be back soon with our recap of the next 2 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise.
Can you keep